genuinely perplexed, his mind still grappling with the concept. He was trying to understand, but his heart kept hitting a wall of tradition. Well, if I have to explain every little thing to you, we're going to be here all night. She threw her hands up in exasperation, a sigh escaping her lips. You just can't say it, can you? Say what? That deep down, you're just an old-fashioned guy. Her voice was gentle, but firm, a direct accusation. Old-fashioned me. That's a laugh. Is that what I am? Well, if we got married, you could cure me. He tried to joke, to lighten the mood, but the underlying tension remained. A fragile thread stretched taut between them. Oh, Jack, I love you very much, but I can't marry you, and I can't just live with you. Her voice was filled with a profound sadness, a resignation that twisted his gut. It was an impasse, a fundamental difference that seemed insurmountable. Well, I'd better get down to the party. She turned to leave, the bridal bouquet still clutched in her hand, a symbol of a dream she couldn't embrace, a future she couldn't commit to. Oh, say that again. I want you to come here, Jack pleaded, desperate to find a way, any way, to bridge the chasm that had opened between them. But she was already gone, leaving him alone in the quiet kitchen, the echoes of their painful conversation lingering in the air. The joy of the wedding, the relief of their reconciliation, had all evaporated, replaced by a crushing sense of despair. He had found the woman he loved, only to discover a fundamental difference that seemed insurmountable. Suddenly, the kitchen door swung open again, and Mr. Bradford stood there, his face a mask of concern, though his eyes held a familiar, unsettling glint of triumph. He had clearly been lurking, listening, savoring the unfolding drama. Oh, my God, I'm too late. He clutched his stomach dramatically, playing the part of the distraught father. Stay calm. What are you doing here? He demanded of Vicky, who had apparently just re-entered the kitchen, seeking solace from the party. There was no reason to panic. You didn't know what you were doing. We'll have it unknown. What are you talking about? Vicky asked, bewildered, confused by his sudden, theatrical entrance. Don't play games with me, Victoria. When I tried to reach you on the phone here, they told me about the wedding. Mr. Bradford's voice was laced with a barely concealed accusation, a hint of outrage. Wedding? That was one of Jack's friends who got married, Vicky clarified, her confusion evident, trying to make sense of his dramatic outburst. Then you're not. Mr. Bradford's voice trailed off, a sudden relief washing over his features, his facade of concern momentarily dropping. Oh, how nice. You've just done wonders for my ulcer. I feel so much better. He smiled, a truly genuine, if self-serving smile, relieved that his daughter wasn't rushing into a marriage with Jack. Oh, Dad, what's wrong? Vicky asked, her own distress momentarily forgotten, worried about her father's health. Jack and I just broke up, she confessed, her voice thick with tears, the pain still raw. Really, I'm so sorry. Mr. Bradford's sympathy was almost believable, a carefully crafted performance. Oh, Dad, I feel so miserable. Oh, there, if he means that much to you, I'll see what I can do about patching things up. He patted her arm, his eyes darting towards Jack, a flicker of triumph in their depths, already planning his next manipulation. You'd do that? Vicky looked up, a glimmer of hope in her eyes, desperate for any comfort. I just want you to be happy. You're all I've got. Now, where do we find this Jack? He looked around, as if Jack had just materialized out of thin air, playing the role of the concerned, if clueless, father. There's nothing you can do, Dad. Vicky shook her head, resigned, feeling the weight of her father's suffocating love. Don't you think you'd better fix your face up? Mr. Bradford suggested, ever the image-conscious father, wanting his daughter to present a composed front. All right, Vicky sighed, and headed towards the bathroom, needing a moment to collect herself. Jack, meanwhile, had retreated to the balcony, seeking solace in the cool night air, trying to make sense of the emotional maelstrom that had just engulfed him. He leaned against the railing, the city lights blurring before his eyes, his heart heavy with confusion and despair. Terry found him there, her face etched with concern. Jack, what are you doing out here? She asked gently, her voice full of compassion. Vicky wants me to live with her, he confessed, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. Then what are you doing out here? Terry asked, confused. If they wanted to be together, why was he out here? alone and miserable. I asked Vicky to marry me, but she turned me down. Why? See, her parents got divorced, so she's afraid to get married. He explained, the words tasting bitter, a harsh reality he was struggling to accept. And you're afraid to live with her. Terry's brow furrowed, a thoughtful expression on her face. No, Terry, no. It's a little more complicated than that. You just don't understand. All right? He snapped, his frustration boiling over, unable to articulate the complex tangle of his own traditional values and his deep love for Vicky. Terry, however, remained calm, her gaze steady. You were lucky enough to find someone you love, and the only thing that really matters is that you're together. Jack turned to her, surprised, the words striking a chord deep within him. Come on, Terry. Where'd you get that from? From a greeting card? From you. Huh. That's what you told Janet when she wanted to break up with Philip, Terry reminded him, a knowing smile on her face, reflecting his own wisdom back at him. Jack paused, the words echoing in his memory. The important thing is that you're together, isn't it? He had said that. He had truly believed it. And now, faced with his own dilemma, he realized the profound truth of his own advice. He had been so quick to offer counsel to Janet, so slow to apply it to himself. I said that, didn't I? He asked, a slow smile spreading across his face, a dawning realization. Yes, you did. Thanks, Terry. He felt a lightness in his chest, a path forward emerging from the fog of his despair. He knew what he had to do. His love for Vicky, his desire to be with her, outweighed his own ingrained traditions. He strode back into the kitchen, his gaze fixed on Vicky, who had just returned from the bathroom, her face still a little red, but composed. His heart swelled with a renewed sense of purpose. Vicky, let's do it. Let's live together, he declared, his voice firm, resolute, a decision made from the heart, not from fear or expectation. Vicky's eyes widened, a gasp escaping her lips. A cautious smile formed on her face, a flicker of hope, a hint of defiance. Oh, Jack. Before she could respond, Mr. Bradford, who had been lurking nearby, listening intently, burst into the conversation, his face contorted in a mask of outrage. His voice boomed, shattering the fragile moment. Oh, he said we're going to live together, Vicky replied, her voice steady, a newfound strength in her demeanor. I know what he said. How could you even think of such a thing? Mr. Bradford thundered, his face turning an alarming shade of red, his ulcer, no doubt, flaring. Well, no, actually, my friend Terry, reminded Jack, began to explain, but Mr. Bradford cut him off, his anger overriding any semblance of civility. I didn't even say hello to you yet. Hi, don't touch me, don't touch my daughter, he spat, stepping between Jack and Vicky, his arms outstretched like a protective eagle, his eyes blazing with fury. Dad, it wasn't his idea. Vicky tried to intervene, but her father was beyond reason, his mind consumed by his own rigid moral code. Then it was your mother. She put you up to this, didn't she? He accused, his mind leaping to his the source of all his perceived troubles, the convenient scapegoat for any perceived deviation from his patriarchal control. Dad, it was my idea, Vicky insisted, stepping forward, taking responsibility, her voice firm. What? I had to talk Jack into it. Larry, who had wandered back into the kitchen, muttered under his breath, sensing the impending explosion, wisely retreating to a safer distance. Hey, your ulcer's down there. It's spreading, Jack warned Mr. Bradford, seeing the man's face turn an even deeper shade of crimson, a vein throbbing ominously in his temple. Mr. Bradford, Vicky, please, let me try, Jack said, stepping forward, trying to reason with him, to appeal to any shred of rationality. Mr. Bradford, look at it this way. You're not losing a daughter. You're gaining a daughter. Stop it, Victoria, Mr. Bradford roared, his voice trembling with fury, his face contorted in a mask of pure indignation. Sir, if I may, Jack tried again, determined to make his case, to fight for his and Vicky's right to choose their own path. You may not. Victoria, let me get this straight, just in case any of our friends happen to ask. You'll be living in some godforsaken place with a cook, without benefit of clergy, raising my grandchildren, who will be nameless. His voice dripped with sarcasm and disdain, his words designed to shame, to wound, to paint a picture of moral degradation. Dad, please, Vicky pleaded, mortified.